one of the MPs behind Go. He joins us now. So why should you get the official designation?
Well, I think, actually, if we're not united and we're still, what, 57, 43% ahead in the whole polls, perhaps we should say disunited and we'd win. Well, you know, it looks good. There are actually 42 grassroots campaigns made up of all different people. Better Off Out, the Independence of Britain,
yeah, but
Labour.
there has to be one that gets official designation.
I think,
why should it be you?
Well, I think it's not quite like that. It's a little bit of an establishment view that you have to have a top-down organisation like BSC, from the people who want to stay in, that's imposed from the top. There's nobody there going out on a February morning knocking on doors. There are 42 different campaigns doing it. So this is a grassroots up. So the idea is we all come together under an umbrella, which happens to be Go, Grassroots Out. So it's not another campaigning organisation, we're just an umbrella bringing everyone together, and they would still have their independence.
Can this umbrella stop you knocking lumps out of each other? I mean, I look at some of the things you say about each other. Aaron Banks, who I believe is putting some money into Go. He is, isn't he?
Go is funded by a number of individual donors.
Aaron Banks?
Well, he's one of them, but a whole number. There's Conservative donors, there's...
Sure, I understand that, but he's one, and he's also in Leave.eu. He said that the people in Vote Leave, were two of the, quote, nastiest individuals I've ever had this misfortune to meet. Kate Hoey, chair of Vote Labour Leave, she's voted to quit. Jenny Jones, she's the Green peer, she's also quit Vote Leave. Can you go on like this?
Well, that's exactly why Grassroots has decided, come on, let's bring everyone together. This has got to stop. If at the grassroots everybody can work together, I mean, last week in Wellingborough we had 100 people, they're from all the different Leave groups, from all different parties and none, working together. Why can't we get them at the top? So the idea is to bring everyone together, one happy family, working under the grassroots movement.
You've got your bright Go tie on there,
yes,
which you're showing very well, but I want to show you this picture, which has got more than just a tie on it. We just cut. That's one of your colleagues there, launching the Go campaign, and with a Union Jack jacket on. Those who remember John Redwood's leadership campaign will wonder if politicians want to be seen on the same platform as that.
But this is the point. This isn't about politicians. It's a people's movement, and people are going out across the country, knocking on doors, campaigning to come out of the EU.
Looking like that?
No, they're not looking like that. You're looking at me. Yeah. Well, no, they don't want to look like me. No, you're right on that, Andrew, that's for sure.
Not at all. I mean, is this just journalist fun, or is it seriously undermining things? As Mr. Bone says, the YouGov poll have them ahead.
No, it is really serious. I mean, the Electoral Commission in the next few weeks, if the Prime Minister gets that deal, will have to designate one of these groups as the main out group and the main in group. And as we say, that the two sides are fighting like mad. I mean, I think the danger for the Leave camp is that, the group that will win this referendum is the group that wins the argument that it represents the safest option, and the group that will lose is the group that is portrayed as the riskiest option. Now, there are people like Douglas Carswell who are deeply fearful of Nigel Farage as one of the main figures on the outside, because on a good day he gets 30% of the electorate and no more, and that's why Go has been established, because Leave.eu, which is the Aaron Banks group, is basically a UKIP organisation. So Aaron Banks is now funding this other group, which is Peter's group, which has some genuine cross-party support, and that will be really, really important for the designation. Vote Leave, which sort of regards itself as the more sort of stable, steady, safe option, is now struggling on the cross-party option, ticking that box, because John Mills, who's one of the Labour people, is really upset about it.
Do you get out at night? How do you know all that?
It is also not quite true, but there we are.
But I think this is a common thing that gets levelled at journalists. Why are you talking about the personalities and not about the policies? And often it's a reflection of the fact if we start talking about the policies, everybody would lapse into a coma almost instantly. And what the problem is that both sides have at the moment is that they don't have a set of key messages. That renegotiation that Cameron came back with, I don't think you could stop 100 people in the street today and one of them would be able to tell you anything that was in it. And that's why we end up talking about personalities.
People's interview would be able to have that. We're doing our best, Jenna.
I think we have always massively exaggerated the importance of campaigns on election results or referendum results. And I remember this time last year being told that because of Labour's incredibly assiduous work at ground level, they would end up overperforming or counteracting disadvantages like leadership and economic credibility. So I've never believed that the Leave campaign's internal rivalry and confusion would really hold them back, and some of the recent polls have stood that up. What really flows in their favour is the nature of the deal that David Cameron extracted, or preliminary deal extracted last week, because it is less impressive than he indicated 3 years ago in the Bloomberg speech, and he's going to effectively have to fight a referendum on the existing terms of membership. I still think that's eminently winnable, but he would have hoped to have gone into the last 4 months of this campaign, if we assume it's going to happen in June, with something drastically different, not cosmetically different.
What do you make of what you've heard?
Well, I think it's right. It's the fundamental issues that will be debated, and that's what people will decide. And actually, we're all in a bit of this Westminster bubble where we think that Joe Bloggs says this and that really matters. Actually, on the street, nobody could name any of the different Leave campaigns. And when we knock on the doors, the simple question is, do you want to stay in, do you want to come out, or are you undecided? And that's what we're finding on the doorstep. And there's a whole lot of people who are undecided who just say, we haven't heard the arguments yet. And clearly, we've got to get our message out on the Leave side. And clearly, it does concern immigration. It does say we want to control our borders. But it also talks about the fact that we pay £55 million a week to the EU and get nothing in return.
No, that's the gross figure. You get half of that back.
Look, I mean, we don't get half of it back. It's not half. You know.
You do get half of it
No, we
back.
don't get half of it back. We get a bit back, which they decide how we spend it. Not we don't. And
No,
that's the third.
You get it back in two ways. You get it back as a rebate. They don't decide how you spend that, but you also get it back in funds that from the EU. That
and
come
they
in here,
decide how
and
to
they
spend it.
decide
And
that.
if they, and
So
that's
the facts will matter in this campaign.
and the facts
don't you
will.
think?
And the fact and how many billions of pounds each week go to the EU that we have no control over?
Well, you've just said the gross figure is
Yeah,
55
and
million.
and it's about
but
30.
The net figure is half that. But
No,
that,
it's not
Can
half
you
that.
win?
You
can,
know it's not.
We'll go into detail. I assure you it is. Can you win this though without having at least a front? I mean, clearly the Prime Minister is going to head up the in campaign.
Well, if he decides, if he gets, I mean, there are proposals, and as I said in the House of Commons this week, if he doesn't get what he wants, he'll be heading up the Go campaign, which will really help
You're not
us.
holding your breath on that.
I don't know. I mean, the European
who should
Union are
head
so
it up?
stupid, they might not even give him the small reforms he's asked for.
Who should head up your side of
I
the
don't
campaign?
think they should. I don't want to see a figurehead. I really don't. And so
Who would do the big debate with the Prime Minister?
Well, it depends what the issues are. So if there was a debate...
In or out? How about that?
No. If there will be themed debates. So if you're talking about business, why not have a businessman? If you're talking about a trade union, why not have someone from Labour Leave?
Okay,
The
just
issue...
like-
I think, was it Belgium that rang...
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.